no pun intended. We are on episode, 17 already? Thank you all for joining us today. We have a fun show today. We have Hikaru Nakamura gambling drama. We have Botez sisters getting paired against each other. Alexandra having a great tournament as of this recording. Matt playing the Chicago Open coming up here in a little bit. And finish it off, Matt played a couple pickleball tournaments this weekend that he is happy about. How's it going, Matt?
Going great. How are you doing today, Jesse?
I'm doing well. I hope you all liked the intro. For those on video, you got a special treat. If you're not watching on video, what are you even doing? What are you even doing?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We are the fastest growing chess podcast on iTunes, hosted by us. And any review, any like helps tremendously. And yeah, thanks for joining. So, Hikaru Nakamura, he is at the height of his career. He just finished the candidates. He is embedded on chess.com anytime he's streaming, probably making a ton of money with all these subscriptions, affiliates. And he goes on and does a stream for a pretty sketch gambling site. Chess.com obviously removes him from the embed. He drops in viewers a ton, and wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. It's one of those things where he's probably just cashing in for a little bit for his, all the platform he's put in over the last many years and just, taking some money for maybe not the greatest fit for an advertiser. What do you think about it, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with Zelda in the chat. She's saying huge L from Hikaru. I mean, when you have that kind of money, you got to have awareness of your audience and the people that look up to you and be careful because people will copy whatever you do. Quite a few of your fans are going to say, hey, Hikaru wears pink shoes. I'm going to wear pink shoes. Hikaru plays slots on stream. I'm going to start playing slots for money.
Hikaru plays the modern. We're going to go with the modern.
That's right.
And actually, we're recording a modern course right now. Matt and I are 6 chapters in, and there's quite a few lines actually that Hikaru has played. And there's actually one line that we're recommending where there's, I think, 6 games in the Masters database. They're all Hikaru with black, and he's won like 5 with 1 draw. That's one we recorded last night. So even though even though we're throwing shade on Naka, we still respect him deeply as a chess player, obviously. I was rooting for him big time in the candidates. I was sad when he couldn't pull it off in the last round. But we have good cash out of it, so that'll be a good challenge. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, Matt, let me throw a scenario at you.
Okay.
You're a chess streamer, okay? You have maybe 100 people watching your stream. You are well known in the chess community, smarter chess. Uh, let's say a gambling site like you can bet Bitcoin on a slot machine. They come to you and say, for $5,000, we will pay you $5,000 if you stream to your 100 people for 1 hour. Are you taking the money?
How old's my audience?
Let's say your audience is, let's say 80% of your audience, you have strong confidence is over 18 years old.
For 5,000, I'm gonna say no. All right.
Okay, let's say 30,000.
For 1 hour, I will handwrite letters to everyone in the audience saying, don't do what I do, and I will stream it.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing is 30,000 does go a long way, and you can probably like outdo the damage with 30,000.
Yeah.
For me, if any of my audience is under 18, I don't think there's a money amount that I would feel good about taking. Like
Really?
if we're talking $80,000, I don't know. I really, I'm at the stage of life where my conscience would weigh on me more than the money. But if all my audience is over 18, we're hanging out, we're having a good time, I could see myself doing that. When it comes, okay, let's do a different scenario. Instead of like just slots or roulette or whatever, what if a poker site came to you and said, okay, for $500, or we'll pay you $500 to stream to your audience for 1 hour, same stream demographics. Are you doing it?
Man. Well, then you got to factor in the embarrassment of playing poker as not a good player. I'm still gonna say I just feel like no. I think it's got to be like all the ducks in a line. Like it's got to be really sort of life-changing money. And also, I need to feel that the chat understands that they don't need to do what I do. And I don't know how you really get that. But then also, like 100 people is not that many people. So, like you said, maybe you can, cover the damage. Whereas if you said you got 20,000 people watching and we think half of them are under 18, then it's like I probably wouldn't do it for anything, any amount of money, right? There's
Yeah.
just no reason to show that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay, what about instead of slots or poker, what about a like a sports betting site but for chess? I don't know if this one actually exists or not, but like let's say there's an Arena Kings or something, and you can bet Hikaru at -500 to win the whole thing. Would you stream betting on online chess for your audience for let's say like $500 for an hour?
No, not for 500. If it
Okay.
was something where while streaming, if you could say or put a disclaimer or something, might not be as bad. But still, if
Hmm.
your audience is kids, like kids probably aren't going to figure out how to do the online betting. But if there's like slots.com or some website, they can probably figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different to me just doing an ad read. I'd be much more okay with doing just an ad read, but like streaming, playing blackjack or something, I feel like that's taking it a little too far. So I don't think I would do anything with slots, honestly, or just like straight up gambling, because it's just it's just like mathematically you are going to lose money no matter what. It's just a matter of time. For poker, I'm more open to that because poker is you're not playing against the house in poker. You're playing against other people and you actually have a chance at winning. I played poker for a long time growing up and I made decent money at it. And so I know it's not just like you're going to lose all your money because you're playing real people, not just the house. So
But I
I'd
have
be
a
more open
question.
to it with, okay, go for it.
What's the average number of people on an online poker table?
Well, there's different types of poker. So there's
Yeah.
six-handed, there's full ring, which is nine, and then there's heads up, which is just like one-on-one.
So let's say six-handed.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the average rake?
It depends on the site, but not that high. I don't know it offhand.
So let's say six people are playing for 8 hours straight, just the
Yeah.
same six.
Hmm.
How many of them will come out ahead at the end of 8 hours?
Impossible to say, but I bet if they play for 8 hours, let's say they all buy in $100, I think what you're getting at, I bet the rake there would probably be like $50.
Right. So I think this is where we differ because I know you're a good poker player and I think you have a poker bias. Because
True.
what I would
Guilty.
say is, yeah, like you might not want one of your sons getting addicted to poker and then becoming an addict and they can't stop playing. That's the danger, I think, of teaching kids to gamble. Like you could say, like, oh, it's still a game of skill. Like, I don't care if my son plays it, but if they're losing all their money or it somehow tapped into your money and lost all that, or they owe people, like it's a very slippery slope getting into gambling. Even if you think like, well, it's the skill-based game, they could be profitable. Most people are losing money when they play poker.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I definitely don't wouldn't want my kids gambling away money. So maybe maybe I need to go back on my on my recommendation. But yes, I do have a poker bias, so that's what I think I'd probably be more okay with it. Um, you challenged me there, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for challenging me. I
You're
guess I
welcome.
don't know what I would do. Um, I'm saying absolutely no gambling, maybe poker. I'm not sure.
So I knew a
Uh,
couple people. I had like a group that would play Texas Hold'em all the time in high school and early in college. And this was when Texas Hold'em had that huge explosion in popularity. Like Chris Moneymaker won the World Series, kind of, I don't know, like early 2000s, right? I had one friend who was a huge gambling addict, and he even ended up working at TI for a little bit. And he was one of those people that never talked about his wins and losses, but he had massive swings, and he would claim that he won. But I don't know. I actually don't know if he was bankrolled or if he was a winner. But he had a friend who had very wealthy parents. And I know that kid would always lose. He was a losing player, but he would always bet big. And then when he would lose, he would like bet bigger and then he would lose and he would do something crazier.
Oh man,
And the
yikes.
first friend loved him because they would go to the casinos together and friend one would egg on friend number two because he could vicariously get his gambling thrill through that other friend. So I've seen a couple people that were like essentially ATMs at home games even. Like we would play $5 and they'd be buying in for like 40 or 50 and most of us would cap at 10. I think it's I don't know if either of them still gamble, but they were in
Yeah.
pretty shady situations right around college. And the one kid I think dropped out of college because he was getting into gambling, and then he ended up meeting some people that were into drugs as well. So
Man,
I feel like that kind of makes me more biased to say like, yeah, don't get into any sort of casino games. I don't care if it's blackjack, poker, slots, skill, luck.
yeah. Yeah, if you need help, call 1-800 whatever Gamblers Anonymous. I don't know the number, but yes, scary situations. Gambling is a serious addiction. There was a in the book the first Habits book by Charles Duhigg. Do you remember the Power of Habit maybe?
Yep.
One of the first examples he gives is what these casinos do to form that habit of betting. Like they'll call you, they'll like wine and dine you, give you free
Yeah.
drinks just to like keep spending your money. And one of these people actually sued the casino for their like predatory behavior and lost the lawsuit. So the casino got to keep all their money and all their lawsuit money. So that was too bad.
So
But
this is a tangent. Oh, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Finish. Sorry, finish.
No, I was going to say these casinos know what they're doing to rope you in, and that just goes to show the dangers of promoting something like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a little bit of a tangent, but social media companies are very similar to a slot machine. You've heard this,
100%.
right?
Oh yeah.
So you're like flicking on your social media, you're just waiting for a dopamine hit, right? And every so often you get that like or that share or whatever it is, or that like post you want to retweet to your friends or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's just like a casino.
Yep. And just like gambling, I would never promote social media to a kid at all. Like my oldest is 8 years old right now, and he's not getting a phone until he's probably driving. Like when he's 16, he can have a dumb phone, but I don't want him on Twitter or TikTok or any of this stuff. I think feel like it just rots all of our brains. And I
Yeah.
feel like a kid in, 10 years who hasn't had this like dopamine rush every 10 seconds for his whole life, I feel like it's going to be like a superpower to sit down and read a book or sit down and, work for 2 hours straight without being distracted. Uh, yeah, I know that a new book just came out from, I believe it was Jonathan Haidt or something. I'll link it in the comments or in the description, but I haven't read it. But it's something about something about the phone usage in America. But yeah, and just how it's kind of messing with people. And if you looked at data between the correlation, this is only correlation, of course, but data between like depression rates in like teenage girls versus the adoption of like Instagram, it's like a linear correlation. Well, obviously, we're in a changing world and there's tons of other things going on, but it's interesting data for sure. Yeah, a lot of the chat is agreeing no phones, smart people. Like, I don't even know, like, the typical kid who's on TikTok all day, could they even sit down and play like a classical game of chess? There's no way.
Yeah, I can't imagine because your brain's not trained to do that. How do you tell yourself like, hey, let's just sit and focus and not have any distractions?
Yeah, it's like torture for some kids. I remember playing a young man. He was probably 10 years old, something like that. And I could tell he was actually a decent player, but he was just playing way too fast. And so like he on like move five, he offered a queen trade and didn't see that his knight was hanging. And so I just got his knight for free with check. He was threatening checkmate though, so if I would have taken the knight and it wasn't check, then he would have mated me a one, but it was with check, so I was able to take it.
Nice.
Uh, and I purposely didn't. Okay, this is a troll story, but I purposely didn't say check to see if he was gonna notice. It's like if I take his knight and don't say check, and he's like, "Oh, that's checkmate." Oh, sorry, buddy, you're in check.
You know, he was
So,
waiting for you to say check because check's like the over the board chess dopamine hit.
yeah.
And you robbed him
Right.
of that.
Yeah. Okay. I feel bad now. But it's all in good fun, all in good fun. Okay, do you want to throw any pro or any scenarios at me for promoting gambling, or do you think we've covered it? I think I've made my position known.
I have a phone question for you.
Phone question? Okay.
Yep. What if your oldest son has a ton of peer pressure from his friends and he's like 13 and just like everyone he hangs out with, they all have phones and that's how they communicate. Whatever app they use, that's how they get together and hang out. And he says, Dad, I can't hang out with my friends because they all say like, oh, we're not going to go out of our way to call your dad's landline. We only use this app.
Yeah, tricky. I might find a way to give him access to that app. So yeah, like an iPod Touch or something.
Hmm.
But I would want to strip everything off of it so he only has like this messaging app, like WhatsApp or something. But even that, I would monitor it very closely
Yeah.
and basically have everything like I would have to be in on the conversations, I think. But I honestly kind of would think to say like, okay, well, we'll just talk with their parents and we'll get something sorted out. Like that seems better to me than giving them a phone.
Yeah. To me, that's like one of the hardest things. Like, I don't have any kids, but I think that'd be one of the hardest things is just that peer pressure, because it used to be like, I remember when I was a kid, the pressure to our parents would be like, oh, like everyone's wearing the same like starter jacket of the Dallas Cowboys, or, just little things like that, or like the certain type
Yeah,
of jeans or something. And like phones weren't even, I mean, they were starting to get popular in high school, but like, I don't know, people didn't use them that much. Like, I remember in middle school, people still writing handwritten notes to each other. There wasn't really that pressure of having a device with you.
yeah. I like James's comment in the chat. He says, ideally, you'll have a community with similar minded parents. And yeah, the more I think about it, that actually rings more true to me because like I'm not sure if my friend or if my son is really going to be friends with a bunch of these kids who are obsessed with their phones. Like that's just kind of not the people we hang around. So maybe I'm like disqualifying us from that or something. We don't live a life with phones. When I'm done with work, I literally put my phone in a basket until my kids are in bed.
That's
Sometimes I'll
awesome,
like,
man.
yeah, sometimes I'll check some work stuff, but I really try to have it away for the whole night. Something I've not always been good at.
You know what would be kind of cool? There is like an Amish community nearby. Like learning how they live their life would be kind of cool for your kids.
Yeah, it would. We're trying to be mini Amish people with our with our 3 acre with our land, gardening, maybe get some chickens one day. Okay, did you see the Botez sisters get paired against each other?
I saw that they got paired. That's all I know though.
Okay, here's how the game went. So, Andrea had white, and she's playing against Alexander, obviously, with black. Um, Andrea has been playing the Jobava London in basically all of her games OTB in this last little tournament cycle they've watched or that they've played. And she mixed it up this time and played a standard London system. So just a little slight tweak. And everything was normal. She had a very standard London setup. And I think so I think Andrea had a knight on E5, so kind of like advanced into the position. And I feel like Alexandra played a move like F6 to kick it, and she sacked her knight for 2 pawns. And it was actually a decent sacrifice because Alexander didn't have any or any pieces on the king side that kind of help, and her king was castled. But Andrea just played a little too slow and like ended up throwing your H pawn down the board, which wasn't really a threat in the exact position because Alexander could just use the H pawn as cover. And so the game fizzled out really quickly to Alexander just being winning without really anything happening. So it was a pretty quick win. I think in the final position, Alexandra had like a maiden 1 or 2 on the board. And so it was an unfortunate game because it wasn't really that hard of a battle. It was just Andrea, she lower rated by maybe 150 points. She made a dubious sacrifice and could never really recover. So it was an unfortunate game for the fans and also for Andrea. I don't think either of them really felt good about that game.
Do you have their ratings in front of you?
I don't have them in front of me, but I know roughly. I believe Andrea is about 1890 or something like that, and Alexandra is like 1970 something in
Oh,
that range.
okay. They're a lot closer than I thought. I was thinking well, there was the FIDE bump. I think that probably helped Andrea more, but
Yeah, and Andrea has performed really well in their last few tournaments, and I believe she's up like 150, 200 points in this like tournament, online tournaments they've been, or not online tournaments, OTB tournaments they've been playing.
oh, nice. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
Hammer is her coach, I believe.
Um, yeah, so they have their coaches on the stream doing commentary. I believe Hammer is Alexandra's coach, and Dina Belenkaya, or however you say it, that's Andrea's coach.
Oh, that's
Just
kind
based
of it.
on, yeah, just based on how they were talking.
Did you know those two fought in the chess boxing?
Oh yeah, that's right. They did. I
Andrea
forgot
beat
about.
her.
Yeah,
Now she's
and
their
now they're
coach.
buddies.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember in that game because I think Dina had maiden one on the board and she missed it for like a maiden two, but that was just long enough to get another round of boxing in. So she like had took all that damage for missing the maiden one. I agree. I think chess boxing would be really fun. Okay, so Matt, let's give you some chess boxing matchups. How do you think you would do chess boxing against I'll just throw Gotham chess.
Lose.
He does train boxing.
Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna have a big reach advantage. You're what, like 5'11", something like that?
Well, 6 feet. I mean,
You're
5'11".
six
So yeah.
six.
6 feet, maybe
Uh,
6'1", somewhere in there.
okay, I don't know. I was legitimately asking. I feel like your cardio would be better, but obviously his chest is going to be stronger. He's an IM, and he does train boxing, so his boxing technique would probably be better. So probably probably not a great matchup.
But
Uh, what?
this isn't quite a segue till later, but my best shot in pickleball is actually a punch shot. You got to start, it's forehand. You start with the paddle in and you just explode forward. I mean, it's not a right cross. It's almost like a right jab, even though I'm right-handed, but I
Yeah,
might be
just a
able to
straight
surprise
right.
him. Just a little pickleball punch shot right in the chin. Wouldn't be fun.
Okay, how about you against Mike Klein?
I have no clue.
Oh,
I
I
mean, I'm
think you'd
losing
beat
on
him.
chess. That's the problem. You're giving me good chess players, and I don't train fighting, and I don't know, like, Gotham does do some boxing. I don't know about Mike Klein.
Yeah, I mean, I just know he's a bit older. He's a strong player, but I bet if he took a few haymakers to the head, he'd lose like 400 elo. Yeah, okay. How are you doing against Fabi?
Hobby. Getting crushed.
Yeah, I think Fabi might like checkmate you before you even get out there and get the gloves on.
I feel like I need 6 months of training or something first as a boxer, and
Yeah,
then ask me these same matchups.
yeah, true.
Okay,
All
how do you
right.
think you're doing against Andrea?
I mean, she's better at me in chess, but she would also outbox me because I would never hit a woman.
Dude, yeah, and she's a fierce boxer.
Yeah. Do you know what the weight class was that they fought at? It had to be like 130 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, how about you against Amon Hambleton, and he gives you night odds.
And odds, I think that's actually pretty close, although he is a killer boxer, so he'd probably just
Yeah,
punch me out.
he won that boxing match too.
Yeah. Because was it Shahadi that he boxed?
No, it
Or, oh
was
no, it
Lawrence
was
Trent.
Lawrence. Yeah, Lawrence Trent, that's right. Yeah, no one's famous enough in my rating range to make it like close. So it's hard to compare. Uh, and so in that tournament that the Botez sisters got paired, Alexander won her first 5 games actually. So she was leading the tournament 5 out of 5, and then she drew her last game. And her opponent in the last game was rated 2200 just a couple months ago, like 3 months ago. Then apparently he played a bunch of tournaments in India with a bunch of super underrated kids and punted like 250 rating points. So he's back in her like open in the like the open B or whatever, and he's at like 1950. And Alexander actually had a winning position after move like 15 or 18 or something like that, but she just couldn't find the right sequence to capitalize, and they ended up playing a really long drawn end game of like 60 moves completely drawn. Okay, yeah, chess boxing against Zuck, who you got?
Against Zuck?
Yeah,
Dude, he's like a black belt.
yeah, but he can't play chess, and this is boxing.
I guess it really depends on the rules. I mean, I think I would get
Yeah,
smoked in boxing against Zuckerberg.
probably. He seems quick, and he's
Yeah,
also got that billionaire training, so like he can train with the
right.
best of the best. That'd be tough.
And he's
And
probably
he,
like undercover 1600 chess if he cares to try.
yes,
He'll be like surprisingly good. And you're just gonna be like, oh no, this is
yeah,
not going
and
well.
And I feel like if he got like 6 months just to learn how to not get checkmated in chess, like I bet some GM could teach him a very simple system, just an opening system that makes it really hard to like do anything quick. So like maybe he'll play the hippo or something like that. It's just hard to get to him.
Okay,
Just
I have an
ride the
idea.
boxing. Okay.
Chess boxing simul.
How does that
Not
work?
only do you simul with the chessboards, but then you pull the tables away and you get 12 people that get to try to jump you at once, but you're an awesome fighter. Maybe like chess MMA simul, right? Like you can roundhouse kick, you can pick people apart, see who you want to fight. They can come at you
Is
one at a
it
time or they can stand back, but as soon as they get knocked out, they're out. Or if they
as long
resign or
as
get
it's against a bunch of kids, I would do it. Just take one and use them as a weapon against the rest of the kids.
just get them hooked on gambling. That's easier.
Gambling, and then you beat them down, and then you made them in four. Scholars made them and send them home crying.
Oh, who remembers? I don't know why I thought of this. You might not, you might be too young for this, Jesse. Who remembers that boxing game on the internet where you could box celebrities? And it was like you had two buttons. It was like left punch, right punch. Maybe you could move left, right, but it would be like Bill Clinton and random people. Does anyone remember that game? It was online only. And like it
We're
wouldn't
gonna,
even pass today. It's not PC enough, obviously. Because you'd be like, if it was today, you'd be like boxing Donald Trump or something. And then like their face gets bloodier as you hit them, and then they're hitting you, and you're like, your face gets bloody. Does anyone remember that game?
I don't remember that game. I think Matt's hallucinating. Anyone in the chat know the game?
No, I'm gonna find it.
Okay, Matt's gonna find it. If you want to stay after the pod, the after potty, we will try to find this game, and Matt is going to kick the crud out of, I don't know.
It was super basic. Yeah, I'll have to try to find it.
Okay, Matt's gonna try to find it. All right. Matt, are you playing the Chicago Open?
Yes, but I've not done any training for it.
Okay, nice. It's like end of May, May 25th-ish.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
Um, I've been working on the modern course, which is possibly training for it. But I think my plan is in May, well, starting May, which is today, try to do some more prep. And I'm going to try to just play a bunch of games, kind of go from there. I think opening prep is a little bit overrated. For me, it's more about just the psychology, just feeling good, not feeling rusty, not getting in my own head is huge. Um,
hmm
so I don't feel like I'm going to miss out too much by not training these last couple months.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think once you're at your level, like I don't know. It's like it's really hard to improve from there. So like
Yeah,
is a bunch of opening prep really going to help you, or you just need to like get into normal shape? Yeah, like just do a bunch of calculation and puzzles and call it good from there. Just kind of get into form.
I think so. Yeah, it's like making sure my game is up to where I can play and not too low, but it's like I'm not gonna really get better, I don't think. I'm probably already a little past my prime.
Yeah. So, and the Chicago Open, we're actually doing a mini chess goals meetup. I'm not going this year, but Matt will be there. I think Presta J is going this year. Someone else going too? Maybe Chess Simple.
Just Justin Storn is going.
Oh yeah, Storn is going. That's right. That'll be good. Maybe you guys will get paired.
Yeah, we're in the same section. I think his rating, I'm gonna get it wrong probably, but it's like 2280. It's
Ooh,
close to 2300. And Justin's been gaining a ton of points. Like he's probably one of the favorites to place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. So what is your I guess what is your group?
It's under 2,300, and I would say most of the players will be 2,000 up to like, there's not a lot like right close to 23, surprisingly. So like 2,000 up to 2,260, I would say, is most of the players. And then there's going to be a few stragglers that are
Okay,
close to touching 23.
so Storn is going to be right up there. He could be the one seed.
It's very possible. Yeah.
Now that's impressive. How are you feeling about the tournament? You think it's going to go well? Think you're going to punt a bunch of rating, or what do you think?
I've lost rating the last two times, but not a ton. It's always like if one game flipped, I maybe break even kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping that I can just sort of work on the psychology aspect because both times I just put a lot of pressure on myself. So almost all of my opponents are in the 2,000 to 2,100 range. And I know in my mind that I need to score like 75% or something against these players.
Hmm.
But like the median age of my opponents is probably 21, 22. There's a lot of kids that are like, I say kids, but they're like college age
Yeah.
or maybe like a high schooler, senior or whatever. And I always tell myself like, oh, you gotta win these games. And I tend to draw a lot of these players, and then
Hmm.
I put more pressure on myself. And I don't know. I just need to like play chess and go deep into end games, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah. I mean, if the candidates is any any clue, like these younger players, Gakesh aside, seem to have more trouble with end games.
Yeah.
So maybe you just play. Okay, I'm Coach Jesse, 600 points under lower rated, 700. So maybe you just play safe openings, safe solid openings, and you maybe like aren't super shy to trade, like trade down into end games, and then just like push these, two, three-piece end games as far as you can, and that's how you're gonna gain a bunch of points. I don't know.
No, I think it's a good strategy. And kind of backing up that end game into the middle game a little bit. I think really focusing on imbalances and pushing imbalance advantages. So if I can do that in the middle game and lead that into an end game where maybe I can keep applying pressure, sort of like Magnus does, I do think that's probably my best strategy to try to notch more wins.
Yeah. Yeah, Chonop says just play basic positions because because you know better how to play them. Yes. But basic positions are easier to play anyway. So I feel like the skill gap isn't as I don't know, isn't as noticeable.
Yeah, I think part of my problem last year, so year one, I was sleep deprived like the whole tournament.
Oh
So
yeah.
last year I had in my mind, oh, I gotta conserve energy. Well, I was agreeing to quick draws. So the conserving energy hurt me on the results. So now I need to just balance those two things. Like, okay, try not to get too drained out, get your sleep, get some good meals in, but then also push the end games. Like, don't be afraid to push an end game for a win because the opponent also wants to conserve their energy.
Here's a question. Do you exercise before each round?
No, not at all.
You're conserving energy?
Yeah. Well, the games are in weird times. So, like in Chicago, I think one of the days the first round's at 9 a.m. and then the next one's at like 3 p.m. And then the other days I want to say they're 10 and 4. So
Oh,
what happens
weird.
is the 4 p.m. game can go till like 10 at night and then your brain's so wired and I don't want to exercise at 10 at night. So usually
Right.
I'm just like reviewing the game on the computer, maybe I hang out with Presta J, try to unwind a little bit, watch a little TV, whatever. By the time you get to bed, it's like midnight. And then you got a game at 10 a.m. So then it's like, well, do you want to wake up early to go run on the treadmill or something? Not really. So it's almost like you
Y-
just play your games, eat, and try to relax and sleep. At least for me. Maybe go for a walk or something between the two games.
Yeah. Just curious. Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing your results. I'm gonna try to go maybe some year.
You
I don't know.
should.
It's not gonna work this year, but it'd be fun to play people outside of our local club.
Hmm.
Um,
I do
all
have
right,
another
thank you.
tournament coming up in June that I didn't tell you about.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It's just been planned like in this last week. It's a Masters Invitational up in the cities. So it's
Okay,
going to
nice.
be myself, two other Masters, and then a winner is going to qualify from this like Thursday night league that they do at the Chess Castle. So
Okay,
that'll be kind of fun.
do you know the other masters in?
I do. I know one of them. The other master I have not met before. Um, but the one
Okay.
master is a really nice guy. I've known him for a while.
Okay, cool. Well, good luck in that one too.
Yeah, thanks. And Rochester
Uh,
Open, are you playing that?
when is that? It's June, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to be able to play. I'm going to have a young kiddo, but maybe I'll try to show up and like do some PR. Can we sponsor it? Can ChessGoals sponsor it? We should.
I mean, we've sponsored a prize before. We could do something like that.
Yeah, we should do it.
It's actually July. I misspoke. It's July 6th and 7th.
Oh, July 6th and 7th. Dang, I may be out of town for July 4th.
Okay. And I don't know if
Um,
I'm playing. I might be doing more like coaching or a simul or a lecture. And I might be kind of promoting chess goals a little bit there too. We'll have to see. Whatever, Dennis. Oh, Dennis is in the chat. Okay, Dennis, am I playing in the Rochester Open or are we doing something different? We haven't figured it out. That's our
I,
organizer.
I'm not sure Dennis is live. I think he's telling us the Botez sisters' ratings. I'm pretty sure
Oh
that's what
no.
they were.
Dennis, come catch up, Dennis.
Dennis, come back. Click live.
Dennis.
Dad. All right, how was pickleball this weekend? So you had two tournaments.
Whew.
One was co-ed, one was guys league. And how many teams are in the first tournament?
Okay, so oh, he is live. Dennis is here.
Oh, hi, Dennis.
Undecided. Okay, so this was my very first pickleball tournament ever. Friday night, it was mixed doubles. So one guy, one gal. And there's three sections: advanced, intermediate, and beginner. We did the intermediate section. Um, six teams. And at first you do a round robin. And then based on the results of that six-team round robin, they seed a six-team elimination bracket. The top two teams get the first two seeds and they get a bye. So really the only benefit of doing well is like getting that first round bye. You want to get top two.
Hmm.
We placed third in the round robin. And then going into the bracket, we won our first matchup and we actually pickled the other team. We beat them 11-0. So we were the three seed, we beat the six seed. And then
And
we
pickled them. I
faced,
love the terminology.
yeah.
You
And
got
then
pickled.
we faced the two seed. And they had this dude that was like 7 feet tall and he was a beast. And then his partner was this shorter lady who could whip the ball like just line drive rocket. She's a tennis player, I found out afterwards. Um, we were beating them, Jesse, 8-2. And we thought for sure like the one and the two seeds were quite a bit better than us. Like we felt closer to 4and 5 than 1 and 2. We're
Hmm.
beating them 8-2. You get one timeout for the elimination brackets. And like no one's really calling timeouts. And all of a sudden they go timeout. And they got their paddles up and they're like whispering to each other. And it's like a 30-second timeout. The tall dude goes on a 7 point straight run to take it to 9-8. And they end up beating us 11-9.
Oh man, that's brutal. They s-
Yeah.
they slipped them some secret juice or something to get that extra pull.
I don't know, like ice the kicker kind of thing. And then we won the third seed matchup. So we ended up getting third. So
Okay, nice. So that was the co-ed. And did you
go
just get
ahead.
a randomly assigned partner or someone you knew?
Someone I knew. She asked me if I wanted to play like a few months prior, and it was her
Okay,
first
nice.
tournament too.
Oh, cool.
And then Saturday morning, actually, my partner was Paul, who's a chess player, Paul Novotny.
Good chess player too. He's like 1900.
I think like 1700s, but he's super strong. Like he
Okay.
can play really well. Um, him and I were together, and we were also third in the um, round robin section. We played a pretty good game against the two seed in the bracket, but we lost. And then the fourth seed was actually two people we know really well. And on paper, they were both higher rated than Paul, who has a rating, and I don't have a rating yet, but like I'm not quite as good as Paul. So like these two were should be better than both of us. And we beat them in the round robin. And then we beat them again in the bracket to get third place. So that was super
Nice.
exciting. And both of the games, like, I mean, I think we beat them like 11-4, somewhere around there, both games. So it was like we weren't sure if that first one was a fluke, but then we did it again. So that
Nice.
was really exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. I know that you said you were happy with third place in the co-ed. I know you said like if I get third tomorrow, like I'd be so ecstatic. And then you
Yeah.
did. So it's like great performance.
Yeah, thanks. And as I don't think I've ever sweat so much in my life. So it was indoors, but it was just like slightly warm and I was trying, like usually when I play, I try to get to a lot of balls, but I've never played with that intensity. I've never played a rated game or a tournament. So I was upping it a notch. And the way it worked, you would play one game and then you'd essentially watch two games and then play another. And after every game, I was like, my whole shirt was just like drenched in sweat, arms all sweat, legs all sweat. I think I lost like 5 pounds in those 2 days. Like I was just like wet as a rag after every single game. And I'd go outside because it was like 50 degrees Fahrenheit and just try to
Mm.
cool off between games. It was so
Yeah.
gross.
How long does each game take?
Um, they had timers on the round robin games, 10 minutes per game. And then in the
Okay.
brackets, there was no timer. So I would say the average game though is like 12 to 15 minutes if there's no timer.
Okay. Is it a pretty, it must be pretty fast paced.
Yeah, like the round robin, everyone was kind of rushing. Like you didn't want to try to stall and you knew there was a timer, so you're like, let's try to finish the game in 10 minutes.
So what's, oh, so at the end of the timer, whoever's winning just wins.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
okay because like you're never getting eliminated in that round robin, but it's a
Yeah.
little weird when the score is like 6-6 and you play to 11 and then they say 2 minutes left. And you're like, you know,
Yeah. Just
whoever's
gotta,
serving can score, but the receivers can't. And it's like kind of
uh,
nerve-wracking.
yeah. Yeah, well, that was our topics for the day. Thank you all for joining. If you could like the video, subscribe, we'd be greatly appreciative. If you're on Spotify, reviews and ratings help a ton. Some of our episodes have gotten some pretty good traction on Spotify and iTunes, so we thank you all for that. That is going to do it for this podcast. If you want to hang out with us after, feel free to stay. If you are listening after the fact, subscribe to our YouTube channel, get notified when we come online, and we will hang out with you guys live after. All this gets cut from the podcast, of course. And lastly, if you want some Chess Goals swag, check out the description. We will put our Chess Goals merch in there. We have some shirts, we have mugs, we got a bunch of other stuff.
Hoodies,
Thank you all. What is it?
hoodies.
Hoodies, yes, that's true. Hoodies. Thank you all for joining, and we will see you next episode.